Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing? What we're going to be talking about today is the real reason behind the chaos and the mayhem that broke out starting in LA. I looked this up and it's true. Okay, there was a tax evasion investigation that happened in the Fashion District, and there was a raid that was done, and that's why the ICE officers were in LA. It was $97 million in money laundering from Mexico to California, Democrats, and they fueled the riots. Okay, so that same day, the ICE operations in the Fashion District, specifically targeting a company called Ambiance Apparel. They were part of a criminal investigation into money laundering, tax evasion, and customs fraud. And according to reports, the investigation involved a company that they underdeclared, or if that's even the right term, I don't know. They underdeclared over $80 million in goods and failed to pay $15 million in fees or something like that, with some of the money allegedly being laundered to fund cartel activity in Mexico. And then the raids began on June 6th, and it sparked all of the chaos and the mayhem in downtown LA, particularly in the Fashion District. And then it happened outside of the federal buildings. Bring on the National Guard and the Marine Corps, okay? So the unrest was fueled by the perception that the raids were immigration sweeps. Nay, nay. It's because of the money laundering and the tax evasion and the customs fraud. Though officials did clarify that they were targeting criminal activities like the tax evasion and the money laundering, okay? So, question, how many California Democrats were involved in the scam to rally the whole entire city to do all of this chaos and this mayhem and have their media blast it on every channel? I mean, it just, how many pockets were being lined? That's the question.
So the riots got started in Los Angeles not because ICE was going in and arresting people who came here illegally, but because the Fashion District had an investigation going on where they were smuggling and laundering money in from Mexico and Colombia. They did not report over 80 million in goods, and they did not pay over 17 million in taxes. So it's tax evasion. And of course, the Mexican president decided she would put in her 2 cents and say that the Mexican protesters that basically attacked ICE were heroes. So basically, these rioters were just interrupting an investigation, and they've gaslighted this community of high-strung people to believe that it was because people were being deported, which then lands the Unified School District of LA to get on a press conference and say, if you don't feel safe, we can use our schools as a safe place, even over the summer, basically saying they're going to harbor illegals. And all of a sudden, it's just turned into something that it wasn't before.
And then this is why they also wanted to cause so much trouble to burn down a blue city like Los Angeles. It's tying all together. It really truly is. And I feel bad for the people that live in California. I really do. I have family that lives in California. My cousins, Renee, Debbie, Kelly, and Elisa. And I'm like, this is just outrageous. This is so scary. And I have no words. And then to think, like I said, this was going to be a trickle effect, and son of a gun, it is. Okay, we're seeing it here in Tampa. And because my husband said to me, he goes, are you going to go out there? Are you going to film? And I was like, hell no. I said, because I don't want to have matching silver bracelets with any of these people. I don't want to deal with it. I'm not going to go out there. First of all, you guys know I'm disabled. You know what I mean? I can barely walk a block without my right leg going numb because I have poor circulation. And it's because I have pinched nerves in my back from when I pulled my back out and stuff. I'm not even going to go into it. But anyway, so, I'm not all about that. I'm 49 years old, man. I am not all about going and putting myself into the middle of chaos. For what? For footage? No, not doing it. You know what I mean? I mean, if something pops off by my front door, then yeah, all right, here, But other than that, no, I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? I'm not crazy. I'm not doing that. It's nuts. You know what I mean? I have a family to think about. I have a little kid that lives in my house. Do you think I'm honestly going to do something like that? No way. I've got, I have a family to support. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just stupid. And plus, if I were to pull off something stupid like that, that could jeopardize my husband's job. I would never, ever in a million years think about doing something so stupid like that. You know what I mean? Anyway, so here's a video that explains why. Because it's all about the math. And you really have to think of it as a whole. You have to look at the entire picture. You can't just look at pieces and say, okay, yeah, that kind of no, you have to look at the entire thing because it's the math. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to the voting districts. And I'll just leave it at that. Okay, so here you go. Watch this. Ciao.
So do you want to know what all this craziness in LA is really about? The riots, the organized protests, and the current chaos unfolding in the sanctuary city known as Los Angeles? Well, it's not organic, and it's definitely not random. It's actually a calculated move by the leftist ruling class to protect the one thing that keeps them in power: census-based political control. You see, House seats and electoral votes aren't based on how many citizens live in a state, just how many people are counted in that state, and that includes illegal aliens. They are counted as well. So when over 10 million plus flood across the border into blue states like New York and California over the last 4 years, it's not about compassion, it's about math. More bodies equals more power in Congress. But now, mass deportations and people fleeing these blue states are threatening that math. For every 740,000 illegal aliens that are deported from a blue state is one congressional seat in 2030. And if that trend continues, the DNC just doesn't lose votes, they lose control, and likely for good. This is why they would burn a city down like LA to stop Trump. This is why we're seeing the panic. Media hysteria to stop deportations, state-level obstruction to protect population counts, protests and riots like we're seeing in LA designed to bait the feds and flip the narrative. This was never about human rights or compassion. They don't care about you. They don't care about your safety. They only care about control and power. It's political survival, and the census is the real battlefield. Let me know what you think in the comments and hit that follow